Emerging from court, the relief on their faces was obvious. The case had hung over them for 2 years, and they'd been charged with offences technically carrying a life term in prison. But they were still outraged that it had ever come to this.
The fight isn't won, you know. There's still a lot more for us to continue fighting for, and until there's been a full inquiry into the hostile environment and an end to deportations and detention centres, then we'll keep on fighting.
Our flight was a small window into a much bigger systemic problem. We know that for all of the asylum claims that the Home Office refuses, over half of those are overturned on appeal. And what the government does at the time that we stopped the flight, there was a policy of deport first, appeal later.
The 15 activists had clamped themselves to a plane at Stansted Airport near London in the knowledge that some of the people on board would face death threats if they were deported. Some of those people have since been granted the right to stay in Britain. This woman had already told us they saved her life.
Why do you want to deport me? I came to this country because I was heavily abused, if I wasn't in this country, I probably wouldn't be here sitting.
History records the actions of people who put themselves in harm's way for human rights as heroes. Think of Emily Davison, who threw herself to her death under the King's horse for women's rights, or the lone protester in Tiananmen Square facing down the Chinese tanks. But trying to stop illegal deportations in the UK nowadays is not viewed in the same way.
We're very familiar with this kind of excessive charge, often terrorism-related charges, being brought against non-violent human rights defenders. We haven't seen it in the UK for a very long time, and that's one of the reasons that we're watching this case so closely.
So all I want to do is to stop the deportation.
It isn't only the UK criminalising anti-deportation activists. This woman is currently being prosecuted in Sweden for refusing to take her seat on a plane to stop an Afghan on board from being deported. But the UK's much broader so-called hostile environment shows no sign of ending. The deportation flights still go on with all their questions about human rights abuses. There is a certain sort of air of victory here, which is peculiar since all that's happened is that a group of people have escaped going to prison for trying to stop the illegal deportations of asylum seekers. But they still have a terrorism conviction to their names, and this is one that they now say they're determined to try to overturn. Laurence, Al Jazeera, at Chelmsford Crown Court.